Dividers.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's City Council meeting on April 15th, 2024. It's 7 o'clock. We will call the meeting to order. Our first item on the agenda is two items. Our invocation that will be given by our Pastor Jonathan from the Trinity Lutheran Church, and then please remain standing for a Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Let us pray. Father in heaven, we thank you and praise you for this day that you've given us, a beautiful day to see your creation around us. But we thank you today especially for our city, for this wonderful place to live, this wonderful place to do business, Lord, for the people who are gathered here. Father, we ask that your blessing be poured out upon us, and Lord, especially on our firefighters, on our police officers. I ask your protection upon them. Lord, as we gather tonight to discuss the business of your city, give us wisdom, give us cool minds, give us hearts that pursue your will. Father, we thank you so much for all who serve. We thank you for all those who are on boards, especially our mayor, for our council members, and may your blessing be upon them. Lord, we ask that you would just fill this meeting with your presence, and to you be all glory. In the name of Jesus we pray. Amen.
Amen. Our pledge. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor Jonathan. Thank you, Anthony. All right. Next item on our agenda is the roll call. Please let the roll call show that all members are present.
So noted.
Item C is our minutes.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve the minutes of the council regular meeting of April 1st, 2024, as well as accept the minutes of the Arts and Culture Commission meeting of March 5th, 2024, and accept the minutes of the Community Services Advisory Board meeting of January 25th, 2024, accepting the minutes of the Casa Grande Planning and Zoning Commission meeting of March 7th, 2024, and accept the minutes of the Casa Grande Board of Adjustments meeting of February 13th, 2024.
Second?
All right, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right. Claims against the city. Item
Mayor McFarland, I move to accept and pay the claims dated March 27th through April 9th, 2024 as presented.
Second.
a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed?
I abstain, Mayor.
All right. One abstention.
Oh, sorry, thank you.
All right, next is our meeting agenda approval. Mr. Raines, any changes to the agenda?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, as member of the council, we'd like, staff is requesting that you remove item G3 from the consent agenda this evening from consideration. And just to remind the council and perhaps those that may be here, the mayor and council will be recessing into an executive session at the end, Mayor, so you may want to move the reports before the executive session. But just for everyone's knowledge, if there are individuals here related to the CG loss versus the city of Casa Grande, the mayor and council will have the opportunity to enter into an executive session, but there will not be any action taken this evening on that particular matter. It is strictly for pending litigation and consultation with our city attorney.
All right, thank you, Larry. So if there is anyone here who is here for that purpose, there will be no public discussion on that topic, so you might want to, you can stay if you'd like. We'd love to have you.
And Mr. Mayor, if I can, just for clarification, I'm asking that G3 be removed from the agenda entirely, not just from the consent agenda. Thank you.
Okay. So G3 is removed. And then I will also make a change to the agenda, and I'm going to move item N to come before item M, as in McFarland.
McFarland. Solely.
Okay. Any other changes? No. Okay. Seeing none, then I'll entertain a motion to approve with, as amended.
So moved.
Second.
All right, a motion and a second. Those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, the agenda is approved. And we'll move to special presentations. So we do have a special presentation tonight. If I could ask Captain Scott Benzinger to please come forward. So, Captain Benzing has been working on so many projects for the city of Casa Grande, and he has really helped us a lot, especially the last 2-3 years on this whole CON, the Certificate of Necessity for our ambulance service. And he really has put a yeoman's work into getting us through this process. Also, lots of other projects that he's been working on, and I think he got tired of doing projects and wanted to get back out on the truck. Is that a correct assumption? Okay. So, but just really on behalf of the city and the council and staff, your contributions to the EMS program have been invaluable, and we applaud your commitment and excellent service. So thanks for continued service and commitment in ensuring the safe and well-being of our community. To Captain Scott Benzing. Again, thank you, Scott.
That's nice.
All right, the next agenda item is our consent agenda. All items listed with an asterisk are considered routine matters and will be enacted by one motion and one roll call vote of the council. There'll be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member or member of the public so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered in its normal sequence of the agenda. So we did remove G3. Is there anything else that anyone on the council would like to remove? Staff, Larry, anything? Okay. Any of the citizens, anything you want to remove?
Mayor McFarland, I would move for the approval of the consent agenda with the exception of G3 that has been removed and deleted.
Second?
All right, I have a motion and a second. Gloria, can I please get a roll call vote?
Councilmember Lavender,
Yes.
Councilmember Huddleston,
Yes.
Councilmember McBride,
Yes.
Councilmember Fitzgibbons.
Yes.
Councilmember Herman,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tempore Edwards,
Yes.
Mayor McFarland.
Yes. Okay, so the next item on our agenda is item H, which is our public comments. This is an opportunity for the public to address the council. Just a couple of rule reminders. Your comments are not an agendized item, so we cannot comment on them. And please keep your comments to 3 minutes, and as you approach the podium, please give us your name and address for our records. Is there anyone here who would like to address council? If so, please come forward.
My name is Laura Dixon. I live at 1323 East Palo Verde Drive, Casa Grande, in the G Diamond Ranch subdivision. The executive committee is meeting tonight to delve into the suit filed by West States versus the City of Casa Grande. They're meeting to determine how best to defend the city's position relative to the existing claims of West States. In other words, are the allegations outlined in the suit defensible, and to consider the cost to the city in time and money. I'm asking you to please also consider the ramifications to the city if the suit is not vigorously defended. If the city is not victorious, it will impact the growth of our city for years to come. It is the right of the city to plan its development and its growth according to the needs of the residents. This is accomplished through our Planning and Zoning Committee and our City Council. In the case of West States, the residents, the Planning and Zoning Committee, and our City Council have all said no to this particular development. The reasons for declination by the Planning and Zoning and City Council were valid. There is not sufficient infrastructure in the area to support development of this size and nature. The development of the roads will allow for proper ingress and egress to the project are years away from becoming reality. The litigation must be vigorously fought, and the city must win. If the city is not victorious, it renders our governing bodies powerless to plan for our own future. It will open the door to other developers who will come in and build whatever they want, wherever they want, with no regard to the city's ability to support the project. In the future, if the city fathers say no, well, the developer will just file suit. Casa Grande cannot and should not be bullied by litigious behavior. Please spend our tax dollars, defend the community from outside influences who do not respect the right of the community to plan our own future development. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next I have Jeff Davis. Again, Jeff, please, you can state your name and your address for us, please.
Jeff Davis, 1311 East Prickly Pear in Casa Grande. I've talked to you before about this development on the West States lawsuit that you're going to be dealing with. I guess I'm kind of here to commend you for taking it this far. I appreciate the fact that you guys are all long-term residents of Casa Grande. It's clear you have the interest of the town at heart and that you voted already not to proceed with this. So I'm really here just to thank you, to encourage you, to say, I don't know the particulars of what your lawyer's going to tell you or the cost or anything in the lawsuit, but I just want to encourage you to hold the line here, continue to represent us, and do a good job of it. And I really don't think the traffic pattern has been fixed, which was the main issue you guys, I believe, turned this down. So in lawsuits I've been involved with, I tried mediation. I was going to recommend to you to try mediate some kind of medium ground with these people, but I'm not sure that's even possible to do a mediated settlement with them. Anyway, I just wanted to say thank you for keeping it this far away from us and encourage you to continue to do that and fight for what we at G Diamond Ranch and the Preserve think is our kind of neighborhood and what fits the neighborhood and what works. So do your best. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next is Gene Henderson.
Good evening. Jean Henderson, now at 449 North Dry Lake Street, Casa Grande, Arizona, 85122. A library assistant told me that you, Mr. Mayor, about 1.5 weeks ago, hardly talked about a shelter in Casa Grande. When I meet with friends, many of whom who are business owners, we often end up talking about shelters, and they aren't certain whether they even want to vote this year because they don't know if anything's ever going to come. And they're glad there's going to be a new mayor. The parking lot at the main library needs a smoother area and needs to be resurfaced because it's really a mess over there. Okay. I don't know if this has to do with the other. Why are you battling regarding the 120 apartment complex that was to be built? Because we need such, because people need places to live. I keep finding all these people more and more every day living in their vehicles in the library lot and all over town. Okay, number 4. The security guard at the Promenade Mall area, I think I told you this before, told me I can park behind one of the stores where others camp out and that he protect me since the street racer gangster stalkers, semi-adult goons continue to violate me. I will meet with Officer Ibarra and or Sergeant Egan tomorrow morning and give them the information I gave to you about 6 or 8 months ago. Last, if anyone knows the name of the 16 or so year old male, white male, who drives a white jacked up pickup and has red spikes sticking out of the wheels, and he wears a white cowboy hat, would you please leave a note underneath my windscreen wiper and my blue Dakota often at the main library, because I need to talk to him. Okay, he's just not doing, he's stalking people. He stalked me around yesterday. And the last thing I want to say is I love the firefighters and I love the police here. And I'm glad we have them and the AMR. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Jean. I also have another one here for Patrick Melvin.
Patrick Melvin, 22364 North Sunset Drive, Maricopa, Arizona. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of council, community members, staff, and guests. My name is Chief Patrick Melvin, and I'm a candidate for Pinal County Sheriff. I'm a military veteran, a deacon in my church, and an active member of my community. My proudest roles, however, are as dad, husband, new grandpa, a law enforcement veteran, and a member of this great Pinal County community since 2006. I stand here this evening with a sincere commitment to our shared safety and well-being. With 38 years of professional law enforcement experience, 12 years as a police chief in 3 different agencies in Arizona and in Texas, including being the inaugural police chief of the city of Maricopa, Arizona, I personally witnessed the public safety challenges our communities face. Having 3 children who attended school here in Pinal County, I'm concerned about the health, welfare, and safety of our youth, as well as the safety and security of Pinal County residents and community members. I am convinced that as the most qualified and experienced non-political candidate for the sheriff's race, it's time for a new era of leadership at the helm of the sheriff's office. As your sheriff, I will fight to ensure our deputies have the appropriate resources and training to perform their difficult duties, which include collaborating with Casa Grande PD to keep our youth and our community members safe and to secure all the people in our neighborhoods. This will also encompass a reopening of the police academy at CAC, Central Arizona College. I will encourage transparency, accountability, and trust, establishing community partnerships and collaboration, all with the goal of increasing the safety and security of residents and community members for a safer community. And finally, the initiation of law enforcement accreditation, in my opinion, is absolutely critical for a professional agency that puts community safety first. Law enforcement accreditation will encompass the updating of policies and procedures with the goal of professionalizing and elevating the practices and operations of the Sheriff's Office for increased safety and for the betterment of our community. My goal as Sheriff, ladies and gentlemen, is to inspire the women and men of the Sheriff's Office to protect and serve and to be the best that they can be. This prestigious position, it's not for first-timers. As a seasoned law enforcement executive with experience serving in city, tribal, and county law enforcement agencies, I will have a zero learning curve. Together, let's build a safer and more connected community where all residents feel safe and secure in their homes and neighborhoods. Please join me in this journey, and together we can shape a future of Pinal County safety that prioritizes justice and unity. Again, my name is Chief Patrick Melvin, and I'm the non-political, independent choice for sheriff. Thank you, and I appreciate this opportunity. With 3 seconds left, my website is melvinforsheriff.com. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
That was right on point there.
Well rehearsed. Is there anyone else who would like to address the council? You don't necessarily have to fill out one of these because I will allow for others to come forward. You still only get 3 minutes, even though there's 3 of you.
Hello. Good afternoon. We are from the Casa Grande Youth Commission. On behalf of those who attended the 2-day National League of Cities and Towns Conference held in Washington, D.C., we are so grateful for the sponsorships. This trip was filled with wonderful and historic sights. The very grounds and buildings were so much to take in, I could only think of breathtaking and magical. One thing I will mark down in my history is being able to watch the United States President speaking before me. I could only be so proud of my chair, Anthony Amato, as I'm sure you are all aware of his strengths as an individual. However, being able to watch and support him as he presented his workshops, coordinated with his team, and hosted impactful sessions, I felt only inspired. My favorite youth session focused on bipartisanship, while it left me with a proactive plan to surround myself with different leaders with different values, but not to neglect or judge, however, to cooperate, listen, and learn from each other, something I will make efforts to implement into my daily lives and encounters. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, it's going to be really hard to top that. But what I would like to say is that around spring break for both of the high school districts, we were allowed to go on this amazing trip to Washington, D.C., where the Casa Grande Youth Commission were able to meet up with senators, council members, as well as congressmen, and even hear an inauguration from the president himself, as Melina had just said. But overall, how we can go over this whole situation is talking about what this commission can offer the students of Casa Grande and as well as building its community. This trip not only built a relationship even tighter as the Casa Grande Youth Commission, but we got to bond over not just our governmental aspects, but as well as the people that reside in the community of Casa Grande. I got to know Anthony as not just a really great friend, but as well as a good partner in our community. He is somebody who's willing to commit and build this community further into the future. Molly, as a great student athlete, has one of the best attitudes on the team and as well as the best spirit. And even though I could talk about the other members for a really long time, I would just like to say I'm grateful to be on the council, and I'm grateful to see what the commission can have for the community in the great future. Thank you.
Thank you.
I promise I didn't tell them to say that about me. Just to give you a perspective on all the things we were able to do in D.C., we were able to go to the National Archives and see the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence, the National Gallery of Art, where Molly and I discovered our love for photography, the Air and Space Museum, the Natural History Museum, and the Library of Congress. Some of the workshops we were able to attend were Parks, Youth, Capitol Hill, and City Hall. Finding common ground amid polarization, and developing city ordinances for change. Some of the very awesome speakers we were able to see was the President and the Secretary of Transportation. And we were also able to have one-on-one meetings with Senator Kelly and Representative Siscomani. Just to wrap it up a bit. I want to thank you, Council, APS, and the Casa Grande Union High School District, all for your support and for enabling that us to go on that trip. It was quite the endeavor to plan as well, and so I want to thank Larry and Melinda from Parks and Rec for that. And of course, a huge thank you to the people who had to put up with us for 4 days, Danny, who is sitting over here, and Sol, one of our recreation coordinators. And so there were just a lot of great moments in D.C. I mean, hearing the bagpipes play the Star Spangled Banner and saying the Pledge of Allegiance in a ballroom with that many people, and then hearing Hail to the Chief play and the President come out was amazing. And it was an amazing opportunity to sit there and represent Casa Grande for, and to know that we were there and we were able to see this leadership and see that visibility and know that we were that close. And so I want to thank you all for enabling us to get there. There was a lot of leadership lessons along the way and a lot of exciting new ideas we were able to come back with, and that I'm so excited to implement in the last few months of this term and the upcoming term, which brings me to a little plug that we will be accepting applications for next year from current 7th through 11th graders, if anyone knows any, up until May 3rd. And then this weekend on Saturday, we'll be having our annual day of shredding at the First American Credit Union. So thank you, everybody, and thank you again, Mayor and Council.
Thank you, Anthony, and thank you to all the Youth Commission who represented us in DC. So very much appreciated. And you didn't time your speech very well because you went over 3 minutes. All right, is there anyone else in the audience before I close the public comments section? All right, not seeing anyone, then I will close the public comment section and we'll move to item I, which is our award of contracts. Item I-1, considering approval of ordinance number 3414.
Thank you, Mayor McFarland, Mayor Pro Temp Edwards, and council members. Aaron Walter, Deputy Director, Community Services Department, presenting on behalf of the Community Services Department tonight. This agenda item is for council to consider a contract with Ovation Management LLC for golf maintenance services at the Dave White Golf Course. The current 5-year maintenance contract expires June 30th, 2024. So at the start of the year, city staff prepared an RFP maintaining a hybrid golf model, which allows city staff to operate the clubhouse and the tee sheet while we contract out the golf maintenance services for the course. Proposals were accepted in February, and interviews took place in March. The evaluation team received five very competitive proposals and evaluated each one on the approach of the required scope of work, qualifications and experience, references, and price and cost. Out of the proposals, Ovation Management was graded as the best and most responsive company to perform the maintenance services at the Dave White Golf Course. Ovation Management is a company based out of Casa Grande. We're very excited the fact that they're going to be a local company providing this service to our residents, and we're also very excited about the potential quality of response time that we'll receive for them. Ovation Management proposal had the lowest cost management fee of the 5 proposals presented to us, which is something else that we're very excited about, allowing the highest percentage of working capital to get reinvested back into the golf course. Their proposal presented a very knowledgeable team to do the golf course operations, and they also met all the reporting requirements to develop a strong working partnership in operating the golf course. Their proposal had a very transparent accounting practices and reporting mechanisms back to us. Their proposal included the required record retentions that we have for equipment, maintenance, irrigation, pump maintenance, et cetera. And they also proposal included weekly meetings with staff for course operations, also with turf assessments on a monthly basis. And their proposal also presented operations, kind of long-term and short-term vision that aligned with the Community Services Department. The fiscal impact of the proposal, 4-year 25 operating expense, was presented at $699,671.10. This would increase by less than 1% each year for the 5-year contract, totaling $3,542,275 or $275.54. Staff recommends that the mayor and the city council authorize the city manager to enter in a 5-year contract with Ovation Management LLC for golf maintenance services at the Dave White Golf Course. Thank you, Mayor McFarland, Mayor Pro Temp Edwards, and council members for this consideration, and I would open up for any questions.
Questions? I do have a couple. One, what was our contract before? How much were we paying, and how long was the contract period for?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor McFarland. Yes, good question. The previous contract was a 5-year contract.
Okay. So it's the same?
It's the same length of contract, and this fiscal year, 24 we're operating in right now, we will pay $653. So this represents about a 6% increase for 25.
Okay, and that was the lowest bid?
The overall contract was not the lowest bid, but we felt that the contract was the best return on investment for the city.
It offered more for the money?
Correct, yep.
Okay. Matt?
Well, if you've ever seen me golf, you know I don't go out there a lot for golf. But I am excited to see a longtime member of the community take on this job, and who's someone who truly has a passion for our golf course. And I think it's really going to pay off having someone that responsive here in the community. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
Good work.
Thank you, Councilman Herman.
Anyone else? Okay. High expectations.
Yeah, very good. They will meet them. I'm very confident in them.
Okay, thanks, Aaron. All right, seeing no other comments, then I'll entertain a ordinance number, please. Goya?
Ordinance number 3414, an ordinance of the Council of the City of Casa Grande, Arizona, accepting a proposal from Ovation Management, LLC, for maintenance services for the Dave White Golf Course, authorizing the expenditure of public funds and authorizing execution of a contract with or purchase order to Ovation Management, LLC.
Mayor McFarland, I move that we approve ordinance number 3414 as presented.
Second?
All right, I have a motion and a second. Can I please get a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Lavender,
Yes.
Councilmember Huddleston,
Yes.
Councilmember McBride,
Yes.
Councilmember Fitzgibbons.
Yes.
Councilmember Herman,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tempore Edwards,
Yes.
Mayor McFarland.
Yes. All right. So we'll move to item K, which is our ordinance, resolutions, and other matters. This is a presentation of our fiscal year financial audit results for 22-23.
Sorry, I'm a little short. Mayor, members of the council, I knew coming into the city of Casa Grande, one of my biggest challenges to start with was going to be completing the annual comprehensive financial report and the audit. This audit took citywide cooperation from all of the other departments. There's items that we had to reach out to various departments to help us provide documentation for the auditors. I'd like to thank all of the directors and their staff for their assistance and cooperation in doing this. Within the finance department, Natasha Como, the accounting manager, Ellen Rafidi, our senior accountant, who are both here with us tonight, and Kay Hilty, who was unable to be here with us tonight, worked tirelessly and diligently to bring the audit to completion. And without their diligence and assistance, I would not even be close to being done with that audit. Tonight we have Brian Hemmerly, the audit partner on our audit from Baker Tilly, here to present the annual comprehensive financial report, the report on insights from the 2023 audit, and a couple of other various reports. Following Brian's presentation, there's a resolution for your consideration of approval. Brian?
Thank you, Brenda. Mr. Mayor, members of council, again, my name is Brian Hemmerly. Thank you for having me this evening to present this year's external audit of the City of Casa Grande for June 30, 2023. I have a brief presentation. There we go. All right. Yep. A brief presentation for all of you here on the slides. Excuse me. Our report was issued dated March 25th, 2024. You did receive an unmodified opinion. What that means is you received a clean opinion on your financial statements, the annual comprehensive financial report, which all of you hopefully have a copy of by now. That was sent out a few weeks before this meeting. We also issued our audit results for the Government Audit Standards Compliance Report. This is a report on compliance with laws, regulations, debt covenants, contracts, things of that nature. That report also received an unmodified opinion or a clean opinion. We did not come across or detect any non-compliance with any of those items. We did, however, have one material weakness this year, a material weakness in financial statement closing process. This is usually found when you do have an audit that's issued a bit later in the year. A lot of times the audits are often for June 30 year and often tried to issue before the end of December. That is a goal of most government entities with June 30 year ends. With the turnover at the city in the past year in the finance department, that of course was a bit more challenging. However, you did only receive the one material weakness related to that item. And we'll go over that in just a moment. Our audit opinion provides reasonable assurance that the financial statements are materially correct. We use statistically valid sampling. We walk through your internal controls. We perform different risk-based risk approaches. We test those internal controls, and we come up with a finding, if any, or a modified opinion, if there is one, related to your financial statements. We do not provide absolute assurance in your financial statements. The difference being absolute assurance would require that we test every transaction at the city. And like I mentioned before, we do test the controls, sample planning with our statistically valid sampling forms. I keep going the wrong way. A couple items I'm required to communicate with governance. Internal control matters. We did test, like I mentioned, your internal controls. We had no items to report related to that. There were no qualitative aspects that we found that needed to be changed in Note 1 of the financial statements this year. There were no significant unusual transactions that we had detected. No difficulties were encountered throughout the audit. We had no disagreements with management. Management booked all the entries we had this year. And there were no uncorrected misstatements. The financial statement closing process finding that we had this year was related largely to the fact that we had a large number of entries that had to be posted late after roughly November, December of 2023. At the end of the day, I believe we had over 49 different journal entries that did have to be posted in order to have a final accurate financial statements for the city this year. So we do recommend that the city develop a year-end checklist, hire consultants with skills, knowledge, and experience, or if possible, full-time people, which can be challenging with the lack of accountants out there right now that know government accounting, to help with the general ledger, account balances, and ensure that they're properly stated at fiscal year end. There are a couple other reports that we did issue. The first one on here is your annual expenditure limitation report. This is required by the state of Arizona to be issued to the Auditor General's office before March 31st, 2024. It was issued on time, and the Auditor General's office did receive it. This year's expenditure limitation was estimated to be $248 million. The city's expenditures that were subject to the limitation were only $93 million, so the city came in well under the limitation by over $155 million. The fourth report here, Arizona Department of Environmental Quality is required by any city that has a landfill. Your city does have a landfill. There are some financial aspects that have to be met in order for the Arizona Department of Environmental Quality to have a clean opinion in that report. The city did receive a clean opinion for that report. Cash to expenditure ratios met the required 0.05. Your debt to expenditure ratio met the requirements of 0.2. Your ACFR was audited by an independent auditor, us. Your audit received an unmodified clean opinion, and there were no operating deficits greater than 5% of revenues this year. So that has been filed with the Department of Environmental Quality. Federal single audit. This is my last report. This is required by the federal government whenever the city spends over $750,000. That number is going up in the next year to $1 million. So anytime the city spends over that amount, that threshold, you will be required to have a single audit. This year's single audit, the required programs that we had to audit were the Community Development Block Grants and the Homeland Security Grant Program. Both audits received a clean opinion. We had no findings on either one of those grants, and that has been uploaded to the federal government in the Federal Audit Clearinghouse. We are not aware of any outside consultation with other auditors. Again, you had a clean opinion on your compliance. We did not identify any fraud during the course of our audit. We do plan our audit to try and detect any fraud, but we did not detect any instances of fraud this year. There is no going concern for the city. We believe the city will be here a year from today. There are no related parties that are required to be disclosed or materially required to be disclosed this year. Some non-attest services, we do help prepare the financial statements. We help with the adjusting journal entries for those statements. Any regulatory reports that need to be issued, we help prepare those. And of course, the Federal Audit Clearinghouse items that I mentioned earlier. And then we also help prepare some of the management discussion analysis financial tables. We do not write the management discussion analysis. We don't give an opinion on that management discussion analysis, but it does give some great information on the city's finances. In fact, I think if you're going to read anything in the ACFR, that's probably the one thing you probably should read. It's prepared by management. We do read through it to make sure it's accurate to the financial statement numbers. Anything with an opinion in there from management, we do not obviously place our own opinion on. And that's my presentation. If there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer it.
Thank you, Brian. It's always good to know you're going to be here in a year.
Yes, sir.
That's right.
Any questions? No. All right. Well, Brenda, nice job. Thank you. And to your staff and also to the city's staff and departments. Appreciate the hard work I know that goes into this. So thank you. Thank you, Brian. Any questions from council? Any comments, questions? No? All right. I don't think there's any action on this. This is just, there isn't it. Oh, resolution. I see it now. Okay, I'll entertain a resolution, please.
Resolution number 5638, a resolution of the Council of the City of Casa Grande, Arizona, accepting the fiscal year 2022 to 2023 financial audit results submitted by Baker Tilly, U.S., LLC, and confirming compliance with Arizona Revised Statutes 41-1494 and 9-481H.
Mayor McFarland, I move approval of resolution number 5638 as presented.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Yvonne, can I please get a roll call vote?
Councilmember Lavender,
Yes.
Councilmember Huddleston,
Yes.
Councilmember McBride,
Yes.
Councilmember Fitzgibbons,
Yes.
Councilmember Herman,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tempore Edwards,
Yes.
Mayor McFarland.
Yes. Okay, we'll move to item L. This is our public meetings, public hearings, open records review, and closed records review. Item L1 is a public hearing and consider the approval of ordinance number 1178.448. Gagdardi. I assume it's you?
Yes, it is.
Since you're in the hot seat.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of council. So this request in front of you is for a PAD zoning for Mary T. Marketplace and senior residences. The proposed zone district would be located at the northeast corner of Cottonwood and Peart Road. It's approximately 6 acres in size. The current zoning of the property actually sits in 2 different districts. There's a B1 zone district that parallels Cottonwood Lane on the south, and then there's a leg of property that sits in between Caliche Senior Living and the existing Villas by Mary T. Apartments that's zoned R3, multifamily. The request would be as a planned area development zone to allow mixed use. The applicant provided a conceptual plan. It looks very much like a major site plan, however, that has not yet been submitted. Should you approve the PAD zone this evening, the applicant's next step would be to submit a major site plan which would approve for the specific layout of the site, and it would be considered by Planning Commission. But I'm going to walk you through their conceptual layout for you to get an idea of what's proposed within this PAD zone. So the specific mixed-use area would sit on the south, to the south of Caliche, between Cottonwood and the existing Caliche building. They're proposing 2 buildings that would both be about 15,678 square foot each, 36 feet tall. On the bottom floor, there would be commercial uses. What makes it mixed use is on the 2nd and 3rd stories would be a total of 44 senior residences. There'd be 32 1-bedroom units and 12 2-bedroom units. And I should point out that the 2nd and 3rd stories would be recessed from the 1st story. So it would step back so that within view of Cottonwood, it wouldn't be as tall of a building perception-wise, because the second and third stories do step back a little bit with a proposed running track around the top of the commercial level as an amenity for the residences. The area in yellow that sits just to the east of Caliche would be exclusively residential. It would be one building, 36 feet tall as well, 3 stories, but that would accommodate 33 senior residences, 24 one-bedroom units, and 9 two-bedroom units. When reviewing criteria that is applicable for PAD zones, the criteria that you see on this screen gets evaluated, and the staff report goes into these in greater detail, but I just want to focus on the highlighted items. The first being interrelationship with the plan elements to conditions both on and off the property. So when you look at this site, it's surrounded by non-single family residential use. There's R3 zoning to the north and east. And on the other side of Peart is a PAD that allows multifamily. It's the Canopy build-to-rent development that just opened. To the south of the site is a B2 zone, which is owned and partially developed as an Arizona Water Company well site. And Arizona Water Company owns that entire parcel. It's also bordered by 2 principal arterial roads, Cottonwood and Peart. And so from an infrastructure standpoint, this is really considered an infill site with good infrastructure in place to accommodate development at this corner. I think the largest compatibility concern is the single-story rental units that sit to the east. However, that's under the same ownership, and those single-story age-restricted apartments sit about 100 feet from the proposed buildings that would be associated with this development. And in that area, you have all age-restricted units, Caliche being of course, an assisted living facility, which isn't necessarily age-restricted per se, but however, it is accommodating the elderly by and large. And then you have Villas by Mary T to the east, which is 55 and up. And the residential development within this PAD would also be 55 and up. With regard to conformance with the general plan, this does sit within the community corridor general plan designation. What that says within our general plan is sites of any size can be multifamily zoned up to 25 dwelling units per acre. Now, to achieve a density up to 25 dwelling units per acre is going to be dependent on the particular zone district requested. Within this PAD, they could theoretically propose exclusively multifamily, allowing up to that density. However, this development is going to result in about a density of 12 dwelling units per acre, given that they're also intertwining that site with commercial uses. Another criteria to look at with regard to conformance with the general plan is changes in zoning classification for the purpose of meeting the land use needs of the residents of the city. And that speaks to the housing needs and supply study that was done a few months back. If you recall, that housing needs and supply study did determine that the city does have an adequate supply of multifamily product. However, staff contends that this proposal does meet a community need, because this is age-restricted product, which is shorter in supply than non-age-restricted product. And a portion of this lot is already zoned R3. And as an R3 zone site, it could allow a density of up to 21 dwelling units per acre. And as I just mentioned, the overall gross density of this proposed PAD with a total of 77 units is 12 dwelling units per acre. So staff feels that since a portion of the site's already zoned R3 where it could develop by way of multifamily, and given that this site proposes a unique mixture of uses designed to provide conveniences not only for the residents on the site, but for nearby dwellings, and that this is age restricted, that this should be supported. To be conforming with the general plan, it also has to meet certain general plan goals and action steps. One of the goals within the community corridor category is to promote diverse business, retail, and office uses in community corridor areas. And one of the action steps to achieve that goal is to encourage mixed use, commercial and retail structures to create a higher density of uses along major corridors. So staff and Planning Commission felt that this development does achieve that. Another goal is to promote high-density residential areas along urban corridors and near major commercial centers. And one of the action steps is to encourage high-density residential development on infill sites and along key corridors. Staff and Planning Commission feel that this is kind of the best of both worlds because this isn't really truly a high-density product, averaging around 12 dwelling units per acre. However, you still get an infill development that provides a really dynamic mixture of uses at a key corridor being the confluence of Peart and Cottonwood. Another action step that is achieved by this request is using multifamily to meet housing demand while encouraging the conservation of water resources. So this particular site does not have certificates of assured water supply, so it can't develop into single-family homes if you're proposing 6 or more single-family home lots. However, this does address a specific housing demand with regard to age-restricted housing. With regard to the impact of the plan on existing and anticipated traffic and parking conditions, there has been some general traffic analysis provided with the PAD. However, it's not considered a traffic impact analysis. We get that at the time of the major site plan, which has not been submitted to the city yet. The TIA will access the adequacy of the major site plan and any necessary changes to the roadways to meet an acceptable level of service if it's determined that the impact of the plan affects the level of service of roadways to an extent that it puts those roadways at an E or an F. However, like I mentioned, there was some general analysis provided with the PAD, and the city traffic engineer had evaluated the plan with respect to what's known about that general intersection. And the crux of the issue is this parcel is access challenged because it is basically infill. It can't meet our prescribed access management standards due to existing conditions. But there is a proposed workaround for it that can get fine-tuned at the major site plan level. Peart and Cottonwood are already constructed with 2 travel lanes in each direction, and it's one of the few intersections in town that have a left and right turn lane on both streets in both directions. And they're also comprised of fully dedicated half streets adjacent to the site of 70 feet. So it's really well poised to accommodate development. I was mentioning the driveway condition. So the situation is when you look at the intersection of Peart and Cottonwood, where a driveway would be located is interesting because the trick is it needed to be spaced at a decent distance from the existing driveway into Villas by Mary T. But it couldn't be moved so close to Peart that it would crowd the existing right turn lane that is there. So what's conceptually proposed is the driveway will be 500 feet from the Peart intersection, which is still over 300 feet from the existing driveway. And there will be a dedicated right turn lane for the driveway into the site. And so that 337-foot distance was also necessary to make sure that they could accommodate a turn lane right there. And the conceptual site plan does propose an emergency access easement. There's an existing one in place that's serving Caliche. It actually exits out onto Cottonwood in the approximate location of where that proposed driveway is. And since this owner is the same owner as the property to the east, there's some also potential to connect through there from an emergency access situation. And also with regard to parking, ordinarily PADs just tend to defer to the city parking code. So whatever commercial uses are per our standard code, the PAD would propose similarly. For the residential product, they are following the city, proposing to follow the city parking code, which would provide for 1 parking space per 1-bedroom unit, 1.75 parking spaces for every 2-bedroom or more units, and then 1 guest space for every 5 units. That actually would require a total of 110 spaces, and on the conceptual plan, they are exceeding that. They are proposing a customized requirement for commercial parking, however. Because there's a mixture of uses proposed on the bottom floor of those 2 buildings, anywhere, from financial institutions to medical offices, restaurants, personal improvement areas like yoga studios, etc. Instead of making it per use, they're proposing, at Staff and Planning Commission's recommendation, a generalized parking ratio of 1 parking space per 250 square feet of commercial space. And so it's kind of an average. And with the caveat that restaurant use, which is the most intense amount of parking, would be limited to a total of just under 5,000 square feet. So that way, it can't all become restaurant, and then you would probably develop a parking issue, because that's normally parked at a 1 parking space per 100 square feet of restaurant. Whereas general office is 1 parking space per 400 square feet. So 250 is kind of right in the middle. And there's also a cap on medical offices not to exceed 6,658 square feet. That's the next most intense parking, that's usually at 1 parking space per 200 square feet. With regard to public notification, we met that which is required by city code. However, staff did not receive any comments associated with our public notification efforts. Planning Commission did meet on this in March, and they did unanimously recommend that City Council approve this PAD zoning for Mary T. Marketplace and senior residences. And that concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Jim. This is the applicant's here, correct?
Yes.
I think I see Mary T. in the audience over there. Good to see you. Yeah, this is amazing. This is great stuff. Something we've been trying to. I know Lisa's talked a lot about it. Mixed use, business on the bottom, residential on top. I think this is a great spot for it. Excited to see it come. Hopefully, you guys will build it, and I hope that it comes to fruition, because this could be a good game changer, especially for that area. And so I'm excited about it. So thank you. Matt?
Yeah, just echo a little bit what the mayor said. The concept looks great. I know we're not doing the site plan tonight, but the business underneath and the residential on top, and The neat thing about this is I remember working with her for a lot of time. Mary T is a real person. It's not just a corporate name. She's right there. And she's been good to work with and made a quality product for the city in the past. But this is just kind of the stuff that we've been looking for. And it, you know, to go with everything, it's on 2 major roads already, so the traffic looks good. I know I'll have to do a TIA at some point, infill project and needed. So I really hope that it works out and that it comes pretty quick. Because it's exciting. The one question I had, Jim, is how many square feet is the commercial? Is that the total, just between the office and restaurant, what you had on there?
Correct. It is, I have it on here, but I'm so tired I can't remember. It's, the 2 buildings are, well, you know, that's a good question because they're 15,678 square feet each. I think that is the footprint of the commercial area. So it's probably about close to 32,000.
So, but they could have like a convenience store or something like that in addition to offices and restaurant. And
right.
Up to so many square feet. So that's all. I just thought it'd be neat to have real mixed use stuff there.
Doctor's office.
Doctor's offices, yeah. Thanks.
Lisa?
No, I wanted to echo what everyone said here. And, you know, Mary, thank you for being here. You know, you've been a huge partner in our community, especially for the senior population. And as it continues to grow, this is definitely a need that we have. And so we appreciate you understanding that and, you know, bringing projects like this. We are super excited. We've talked about this many times. We've been to, you know, meetings at the league where they've talked about projects like this. And actually, I just got back from Austin. My daughter has to move out there for a year for an internship, and I was looking at apartments, and all of them are like this, Mayor. The new ones, this is the concept. So it's exciting to bring this, and I, you know, see firsthand, you know, when I was there, you know, it's a trend, and I think it's needed too, and it's a perfect infill, but it does also fit a huge need that we have with our growing senior population and housing, and so thank you for your partnership. But yeah, you know, great. Looking forward to seeing it come forward, and I'm happy to see this here.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone else?
I just want to mention, you know, this is my neighborhood. I'm right, you know, in Iowa Commons, and I think the infill will be good. But I will say that, you know, and I echo what everybody else has said, Mary, you have done such a good job in our community, and for that area, you take such good care of the property. And I drive by there every day, and I'm so appreciative of you, you know, taking care of that property and making it something that we can be proud of. So I'm excited about it because then I can walk to the restaurants and stuff. So thank you.
Any other comments? All right, this is a public hearing, so I'm going to open to the public, and you're welcome to come to the podium.
Hi, so I'm Mary T., and I really wanted to come out and thank particularly the staff that has done so much work with us to actually make this project happen and to get us to a point where the Planning Commission and the staff are positive about it. I do want to tell you that it was the staff who actually gave me this idea because it was Jim who said, we don't want to lose that space as commercial. And I said, hey, we have a product in Minnesota. It's been there for 20 plus years where it has seniors on the top and it has actually commercial space on the first floor that really kind of relates to seniors as well. Might be a nail salon, it might be a beauty shop. The villas people want pizza. Yeah, pizza. They told me again today, talk about pizza. And so we're very excited to be able to combine these two, and it seems to work really well on Cottonwood and Perth. But as the mayor knows, I already have a restaurant and a jazz club, and I say one in a lifetime is enough. So don't worry about noise coming from a jazz club. Somebody was said, how loud is the music going to be? It's like, no, I think one in a lifetime.
I think it would be a great spot for one. Mary.
I know. But anyways, I'd like to just introduce Jerry Palmer, who's the architect. Just wants to say a few words. He came down from Phoenix.
Thank you.
Mayor McFarland, members of the council, I'm Gerald Palmer. Please call me Jerry. I've known Mary T. for a lot of years, and where she goes, joy follows. That's what I can tell you. She knows most of the residents at Villas by Mary T., and she's involved in numerous world organizations throughout Africa and the Middle East, refugee camps, and many other things. So it's a joy working with her. Jim pretty much gave a good explanation of what we're doing. You might ask, well, why a mixed use? I think the mixed use offers some very good opportunities. A chance to have a walkable neighborhood. And with all the existing senior facilities already adjacent or nearby, I think we can create a situation where you can live, play, and work, go see your doctor, have a slice of pizza, or whatever, and not even have to get in your car. So I think in today's world, I think that's the future of what we're looking at in design. On the design side, we purposely set the building back so we didn't have a wall of a three-story structure, and we hope to put a walking track on the roof. We want to have a lot of social interaction between the members that live here, people that work here, and you do that by creating activities within the center. So you can see where the umbrella is. That's a walking track, and off that walking track we could have ice cream parlors and other activities. And the residents inside can sit on their porch or sit on their patio adjacent to it and just watch the activity going on, or if they wish to participate, they can get to know their neighbors. So I think this project has a lot of potential and could be a good win for both the city of Casa Grande and Mary T. and her facilities. If you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer any questions you might have. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. This is a public hearing. So, and I already opened the public hearing. So is there anyone else who would like to comment on this project? Okay, seeing none, then I'll close the public hearing and I'll call for an ordinance number, please.
Ordinance number 1178.448, an ordinance of the Council of the City of Casa Grande, Arizona, amending zoning ordinance number 1178 and its subsequent amendments by changing the zoning from neighborhood business B1 and multifamily residential R3 to planned area development PAD on property located generally at the northeast corner of Cottonwood Lane and Peart Road, Casa Grande, Arizona.
Mayor McFarland, I move to approve ordinance number 1178.448 as presented.
Second?
All right, I have a motion and a second. Yvonne, can I please get a roll call vote?
Councilmember Lavender,
Yes.
Councilmember Huddleston,
Yes.
Councilmember McBride,
Yes.
Councilmember Fitzgibbons.
Yes.
Councilmember Herman,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tempore Edwards,
Yes.
Mayor McFarland.
Yes. All right, let's move to the next item, which is item L2. Thank you. Item L2 is a public hearing and considering the approval of ordinance number 1178.449.
Right. So this is also a zone change request for property located at the northwest corner of Jimmy Kerr and Sunland Gin Road, just on the east side of I-10. So the property is currently zoned B4, and the zone change request would change the zoning to I1. The applicant does not have a specific use in mind, but what is driving the request is to hopefully recruit or market the property for development similar to what is occurring on the south side of Jimmy Kerr Road with the warehousing and distribution center development that has been occurring. I-1 is a little bit more conducive to that and has a little bit wider of array of uses that may be attractive to people seeking to develop similar type uses in the area.
Hey, Jim, on that map, where is the city's boundary right there?
So on the north side of Jimmy Kerr, it is mostly all city that you see on the screen here.
Okay.
As you see, there's some B4 zoning in the red on the east side of Sunlingen. That red color is B4, and all that green is R4. So I think you don't go into Eloy until you're a little bit further east. To the south of Jimmy Kerr, at the southeast corner, I think that goes into either Eloy or Pinell County.
Okay.
It's kind of a hodgepodge.
So the boundary south of the rail line is Sunlingen, right, towards 8?
Right. So Sunlingen, where it meets Hannah, on the north side of Hannah, that's all city. Hannah's the road on the very bottom there. Everything north of Hannah's in the city.
Okay.
Everything, most all of the lots south of Hannah are actually also in the city, but at the hard corner, to the southwest, that's not the city, and to the east is not the city.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
So when reviewing zone changes, the primary criteria that we look at is compliance with the general plan. And we look at the general plan land use. And this area is designated as commerce and business. As you can see on the screen here, a lot of that area in the light blue, all that area is commerce and business designated, which does support I-1 zoning. The other criteria that we look at is that the action is consistent with goals, policies, and applicable elements. So one of the goals of the commerce and business category is to develop economically competitive regional centers of commercial activity. So how this zone change would accommodate that goal is by looking at the action step of promoting a wider range of uses beyond just traditional commercial areas, including industrial sites, to prepare for changes in demand. As a commerce and business designated property in our general plan, I-1 is appropriate, and due to the proximity of the railroad and other industrial development, this site would be appropriate for I-1 zoning. Another action step is promoting a balance of uses within individual commercial areas to create a more resilient economy. So having a mixture of zoning districts, because as you saw on that zoning map, there is some B4 areas, there's some I-1 existing. That will help allow for a complementary variety of uses. With regard to applicable elements, I turn to guiding principle number 2 in the general plan. Community growth should be driven by industrial, corporate office, and professional services, among other types of development, which offer opportunity for high-paying quality jobs. I-1 zoning will create opportunity for this well-positioned land to develop into uses that can attract employment. Another criteria is that a rezoning conforms to the general plan if the land uses density or intensity is identified within the general plan. And so one of the things that we would look at is that within the commerce and business category, there's a maximum floor area ratio of 0.35. So at the time of major site plan consideration, we keep that in mind. What that basically does is limit either the footprint of the building or limit the height with respect to how large the footprint of the building is. And then also retail, commercial, and office development should provide spaces that encourage an urban sense of place. So that would be another thing that we would look at major site plan review. But with that, at least 10% of open space would need to be provided. The proposed zone change is necessary and proper to meet the land use needs of the residents of the city. So the I-1 zone district is considered appropriate and necessary here to serve this area of the city with the ever-growing demand for light industrial sites next to railroads and also freeway interchanges. In looking at the surrounding zone districts, although a lot of the area is currently I-1, particularly to the south of Jimmy Kerr, on the north side, or to the north of this site, you do have R4 zoned property. You also have a little strip of urban ranch zoned property that sits there to the northwest. So what staff did with Planning Commission approval is impose certain conditions that would help make this site a little bit more compatible should the properties around there develop as R4 zoned properties. Now, R4 normally accommodates manufactured homes, so there is potential for that in the future to be, that area labeled R4 to be designed as a manufactured home resort. So we wanted to suggest some conditions or recommend some conditions to help buffer the industrial site from that potential residential area, and also make the development more pleasing to the eye from Jimmy Kerr and Sunland Gin, being that the site is so close to the southern gateway into Casa Grande. So there's 6 specific recommended conditions. The first one really doesn't have to do with compatibility, but it's our standard condition regarding right-of-way dedication. Should the city need dedication for Sunland Gin or Jimmy Kerr prior to when we would ordinarily get it, which would be at the time of development, the applicant would agree to dedicate rights of way should the city be doing a project in that area requiring roadway dedication. But conditions 2 through 6 do have to deal with design. So it ensures things like transformers, utility boxes, etc. are to be painted to complement the building or ground mounted or otherwise screened with landscaping. One of the conditions, condition number 3, is to ensure for a 15-foot landscape buffer adjacent to any residentially zoned property with a specific tree planting of 1 tree for every 30 feet. Exterior storage of goods and materials as well as loading areas shall be screened from view from adjacent properties and rights of way. And then elevations will have to have a specific mixture and combination of features such as windows, awnings, articulated facades. The specific building materials and the specific elevation detail will be subject to consideration by the Planning Commission at the time of the major site plan. And then the 6th condition deals with the fact that this is nearly a 40-acre site. And so we don't know if, if it all gets zoned I-1, if only a portion of that 40 acres were to be purchased and developed. We want to make sure that the other development within that 40 acres can be cohesive and blend together. It's not a PAD zone where we're not getting a conceptual layout of buildings at this time. So what the 6th condition does is that at the time of the first major site plan, if it's only for a portion of that 40 acres, a concept plan will be required so that we can see how the balance of property can be developed in a manner that ensures an acceptable route for vehicular access and utilities to other portions of the site. With regard to the notification process, it met that which is required by code. Staff did receive 2 inquiries. One was from a Ropes and Ranch resident who was just curious about what was worded on that yellow sign that you really can't see driving 50 miles per hour on Jimmy Kerr. But it did prompt them to contact the city to ask. And then the other inquiry was received from an adjacent property owner who owns B4 zoned property closer to I-10, and just wondering what the advantages to I-1 zoning would be and whether or not they should also pursue I-1 zoning. So they weren't necessarily for or against the request, but just curious about what was prompting this zone change. Planning Commission did hear this at its March meeting, and they did unanimously move to forward a recommendation to approve this zone change. There were, the conditions of record that was proposed to them had been updated that evening, but reflected and updated in your request for council action. And that concludes my presentation.
Questions? Bob?
James, could you go back to the overview map? And is there expectation that Sunland Gin Road will continue on north past Jimmy Kerr?
Mr. Mayor, Councilmember Huddleston, yes, it is identified on our roadway transportation plan and our general plan for that to actually be a principal arterial.
Okay. And that little strip of urban ranch that's to the north of it, does that still have a road, Mopar, I think?
It is known as Mopar Road on our maps, but there's no dedicated right-of-way there.
Oh, okay.
Probably at the time that those sites develop, we'll look to see if there does need to be some sort of access given. If not public right-of-way, some type of easement to ensure that access is, I think who it would benefit the most is the R4 property that sits to the north. They may need or benefit from an access to Jimmy Kerr, not just to Sunland Gin on the east.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions from council? All right, seeing none, then this is a public hearing, so I will open the public hearing on item 1178.449. Is there anyone here tonight who would like to speak on this issue? Not an issue, opportunity. All right, seeing none, then I will close the public hearing and we will call for an ordinance number, please. Yvonne?
Ordinance number 1178.449, an ordinance of the Council of the City of Casa Grande, Arizona, amending zoning ordinance number 1178 and its subsequent amendments by changing the zoning from Community Services B4 to Garden and Light Industrial I1 on property generally located at the northwest corner of Jimmy Kerr Boulevard and Sunland Gin Road, Casa Grande, Arizona.
Mayor McFarland, I would move for approval of ordinance number 1178.449 as presented.
Second.
All right, a motion and a second. Yvonne, could I please get a roll call vote?
Councilmember Lavender,
Yes.
Councilmember Huddleston,
Yes.
Councilmember McBride,
Yes.
Councilmember Fitzgibbons,
Yes.
Councilmember Herman,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tempore Edwards,
Yes.
Mayor McFarland.
Yes. All right, that concludes most of our business tonight. We do have some reports that I moved up before our executive session, and once we go into executive session, then everyone can go home, unless you'd like to come back, but we won't conduct any business after we come back, so no need to do that. Might as well go home. But in the meantime, we'll start with our reports, and I'll start with, to my left, Mr. Lavender.
Just real quick, Mayor, I wanted to thank fellow council member Anthony Edwards and Football Royalty here in town for coming out Saturday to play in the Vista Grande football golf tournament. He was on our team, and we had the best score of the day, even when you factor in all those that played in the Masters with our 66. But Anthony proved that pastors have the best luck because he didn't win not once, not twice, but 3 silent auction items. I had to take all his stuff home in my truck because it didn't fit in his car. But thank you, Anthony, for supporting our team.
Just a couple things. We have our Leadership Academy graduation Wednesday. Also, just note this week, we have the National Public Safety Tele 911 Dispatcher Week, as well as our Animal Control Appreciation Week. So I just want to mention those two because a lot of times they're behind the scenes and they really don't get the attention that they deserve. Also want to mention Supervisor Steve Miller is going to be having his town hall here in Casa Grande this Wednesday from 6 to 8 at the event center down by the Neon Park.
Matt?
Thanks. I want to give a little shout out to Molly from the Youth Commission, who is the last one standing and got to see the entire meeting. I don't think she had a lot of choice because her family's there. But yes, but see, it's riveting, isn't it, what we do?
Riveting.
Yes. I did get to tour the terminal downtown with the developer, with Mike Angelo, and see what their thoughts were for it. And it's really neat to have a proposed restaurant bar. They want to get some more quick service restaurants in there, and then a neat concept for like, I want to say makerspace, but mostly geared towards hair, nails, and massage and beauty parlor stuff. So it's really fantastic, and I can't wait for them. But they did ask me, do you remember when this was a tractor dealership? I'm like, I haven't been here that long. I'm not that old. I remember the skating rink, but yeah.
I do.
You remember the tractor?
Yeah.
Oh, you remember the tractor?
Oh, yeah.
And
Shows
then
your age.
the shredding day for the Youth Commission, as mentioned, is this Saturday from 8 to noon at the First American Credit Union on Pinal.
And they'll take electronics too, right?
And we have e-cycle thanks to
E-cycle.
the Public Works Department, or 9 to noon. So anyway, or until the truck's full. Also, this Saturday evening, because my days aren't busy enough, we have the Rotary auction for Denim and Diamonds. And you do have the opportunity to bid on lunch with NFL star with an autographed football, Anthony Edwards. So, he just keeps giving back to the community. And we will also have silent auction items available. So if you want to bid on those there, and if you want to bid now, it's open online at cgrotaryauction.org. You can start bidding now. And I wasn't able to attend Public Safety Day since we had a Youth Commission meeting, but I did get a text from a friend of mine who has a little boy, and he was in line to look at a garbage truck. And a family cut in line and everything, and one of the employees noticed that. And so after he was done, he took this little boy and sat him up inside and showed him how to work the stuff. And she sent me a picture, said I can't remember his name, and I got with Kevin. His name is Gabe Caro. Is that right, Caro? And he's also helped us with our shredding day a lot and e-cycle stuff. So, just a good shout out there, made this little boy's day and saw what happened, and that's just how the City of Casa Grande employees are. So just want to give Gabe a shout out and Kevin's department. So thanks for that. And that's all I have, surprisingly.
Thanks, Matt.
No reports.
Lisa?
I wanted to, Richard Wilkie and Paul in our finance department had the business roundtable. And, Richard, I really enjoyed going to that because it was nice to see, people. I mean, you had a pretty good group. I think there was like 24, 25 people that had either home businesses, food trucks, or whatever. So it was really nice for you guys to be there and answer some of those questions. And, just kind of open their eyes to how to plan. So thank you. And I know you're going to plan on doing some more of those in the future. Thanks to Councilmember Lavender and Gloria and Yvonne on the Cesar Chavez Committee. We presented or awarded 43 high school graduates in Pinal County, $40,000 this year. Over the 18 years we've been doing this, we have I think we've provided 765 scholarships and $780,000. So just thank you to all the people that have always supported our committee and all the sponsors. We haven't had a dinner in a couple years since COVID, but we're going to try to go back. But, we don't mind because then we're giving more money to the students. So, and Mayor, thank you for coming. We appreciate you being there. And you saw how wonderful it is to give all these people these
There's a lot of scholarships they gave away. This is
Yes,
very
so
nice.
thank you. Public Safety Day, it was great because, of course, the police department and all our fire personnel, but it was great having all the departments there. Like you said, the garbage truck, they were there, transit was there. It was also the county and state organizations, Border Patrol and Public Safety and, there's organizations throughout the state, and it was just a great day. So thank you for everyone that participated. Mary Allen provides a fair housing training every year to rental, people that rent out houses, realtors. And so that, once again, Mary did a great job. So thank you to her for providing that training, that she certifies people to come in and have the fair housing training. So I appreciate that. And the Faith Alliance lunch, Mayor is going to be our speaker again. This is the Mayor's lunch for our Faith Alliance. So if anyone would like to attend, it's Thursday at 11:30 at the First Presbyterian Church, and you have to go on to faithalliance.org and register. So thanks again, Mayor, for being there to present to our Faith Alliance group. And that's it for me.
Bob?
Mayor, no report. I just want to wish everybody a happy tax day. No need to
I already wrote my
panic.
check.
I think you still have 3 hours left.
I wrote my check. Extension Day, is that that's what small business people call it, Extension Day. All right, just a couple things. I want to give everybody an update on our asylum seekers. We did get an update late last week that apparently there's a policy change, and so fortunately for us, they're going to stop dropping them off here in Casa Grande. And I think Tucson's going to take the bulk of them now, and which is probably a better processing location than the city of Casa Grande. So good for us, and take a little pressure off for our police department, who've done a tremendous job in terms of handling it. Chief Leos has done an excellent job in coordinating it. I know it's kind of been a 24/7, 7-day-a-week job for him. So we do appreciate it. So, Chief, you would tell him thank you for us from the city, and that we do appreciate all the work that he's done. And then I did go to the safety event because I was attending my grandson's first communion and confirmation. So there you go. So I had an excuse.
That's good.
That is good.
We did have our CG Helps meeting this last week, and there was some good information, good collaborative efforts going on. They've started the night shelters at the churches back up again, so I think that's good. I think we've kind of cleaned the vetting process up, and so it sounded like they had that pretty much under control. So that was good to see. We did probably in the last 2 weeks, probably 5 or 6 new ribbon cuttings and groundbreaking ceremonies. In fact, in the next week and a half, this last week we did Commercial Properties, which is by the Safeway building there. It's a new business that came into town, and then a new American Family Insurance. And then on top of that, we've got this week, Seventh-day Adventist is doing a ribbon cutting on Saturday the 20th. And we have our budget retreat on Wednesday the 17th, so if anybody'd like to attend that, it'll be at the safety building. If you want to see paint dry, come on up. And then, again, the Faith Alliance, our leadership graduation is Wednesday. That's the same time as Steve's doing his deal.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, well. Pinal County Housing Roundtable is Tuesday, April 23rd. That's in about 2 weeks, a little less than 2 weeks. That's going to be at the Presbyterian Church from 9 to 2. So if you're interested in housing, then come by and see what's going on. Again, we got another ribbon cutting at Sweet Valley Bakery on the 22nd. Groundbreaking at the Cotton Ranch apartment complex, which is on O'Neill by the Legacy School. And, yeah, just a ton of things going on. As I told Larry, and he goes, "Yeah, there's nothing going on in Casa Grande."
You did?
We do have a council member and mayor candidate forum that we're going to be holding at the Community Rec Center on the 25th at 6 o'clock. So if you want to meet the candidates, all their signatures are in now, and we have 9, if you count the 2 mayor candidates and 7 council member candidates. So if you don't know them, come by, and we have some pre-programmed questions which should be out to them today or tomorrow. If you didn't get it today, it'll be out tomorrow. And so we'll be asking those questions of every candidate, so we'll see how they all answer, and then you'll get a chance to meet them, because we have a meet and greet time period that you can talk to them in person. So I think it'll be a great opportunity to learn more about the candidates that you have to elect, or you want to elect to our council. You don't have to do anything, but you might want to be there. And I think that's pretty much it for me. You guys have covered a lot of the other stuff, so I don't think I need to repeat it. So thank you, everybody, and appreciate everyone being here tonight. And, oh yeah, well, I was going to tell them to go, and then, no.
Oh, yeah.
You
I
get a
just wanted
motion to go into
just one really
executive?
quick thing to piggyback. When you were talking about the asylum seekers, I wanted to thank the LDS Church.
Yes.
They have dedicated volunteers, and, Chief Leos has done such a good job. And they're probably going to be relieved they don't have to transport anymore, but seriously, they have done so much with the city. So I just wanted to piggyback on that, Mayor. But thank you.
Yes, thank you for mentioning it, Lisa, because the LDS Church has done a tremendous job for us. So, I did one other thing. The Casa Grande Summer Internship Program is out, and if you have any young people in high school, I think they have to be juniors or seniors or what? And then college. So juniors, seniors in high school, and then college students. We have 11 departments that have internships. So there's 11 internships available to our community. It's $17 an hour for college students, and we disparage against high school students because we only pay them $15.50. But it's still a good wage for a high school student, and it's like 20 to 39 hours. It's flexible. They'll work with your schedule, and it lasts about, how many weeks? 8 weeks. And again, they'll work with your schedule depending on when your school starts. 6 weeks. All right, well.
April 18th, it goes on.
Yeah, you have to have your stuff in between April 18th and May 2nd. So May 2nd is the deadline. That's the important number to know. And then it begins on June 3rd and goes to through July 12th. So those are the time periods. So if you need more information, go online, talk or call our PIO. I'm sure this is online. This is a flyer that they just put out. So thanks, everybody. And I will entertain a motion to go into executive session.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. 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 Any opposed? All right, we are in executive session, and once we clear the room.
You okay? How's your knee, by the way?
It's good.
Yeah? Good? Really? Wow. How long has it been now?
July 17th.
I didn't hear.
And yeah,
Oh,
but I'm
really?
okay.